So in today's video, I wanted to talk a little bit about what Fallout 4 got right and what it got wrong. I'm going to probably focus a little bit more on the wrong here because I feel like the base of Fallout 4 is similar to some of the previous Fallouts. I'm really talking more about the changes that were made with Fallout 4, not things like questing. Yes, obviously Fallout 4's quests are largely good, but they're very similar to what we had in Fallout New Vegas and Fallout 3. At the same time, the writing maybe could use some more work. So the first thing that I think Fallout 4 got really right is going to be the combat. I think the combat in Fallout 4 is simply better than any other Fallout game that has existed thus far. It really feels like a true first-person shooter, and it definitely seems like there was a lot of focus put on this. Aiming down sights and killing different enemies, as well as the new cover system that was implemented, feels very fluid and intuitive, and I really just enjoy the combat in Fallout 4 more so than any other game. This, coupled with the open world aspect that it does bring to the table, really just makes a very interesting experience. There's things you could do in Fallout with this new combat that you really couldn't do in any other game previously. Many RPGs take on swords and shields, which is a very different beast, but as far as gunplay goes, I think Fallout 4 definitely gets that down. And although the combat was really well done in the game, unfortunately we have a bunch of mods to kind of add in some variety as far as weapon goes, and frankly that's probably why weapon mods are without a doubt the most popular mods for Fallout 4. There's also some issues in other areas, and that's going to be with the weapons that vanilla Fallout 4 does bring to the table. Again, fortunately mods could largely fix this, but one of the main issues I had was weapon variety in Fallout 4 didn't really feel that great. Although yes, there are a few different weapons here. You have laser, plasma, ballistic, and then some of the explosive and fire weapons. I really felt like if you're playing through Fallout 4 without any weapon mods, which I think very few people will do nowadays, I guess PS4 users primarily, you kind of were shoehorned into only a few weapons. There wasn't a huge variety like there was in previous Fallout games. This could be an issue for a number of reasons. Pipe weapons, despite being extremely abundant in the game, weren't really viable as a late game option unless you wanted to dump tons of ammo into whatever enemy you were fighting against. You typically could only really use a combat rifle or maybe some of the different sniper rifles if you really were facing some of the higher damage enemies because they were such bullet sponges. And as you progressed later and later into the game, your options became fewer and fewer because enemies were just simply harder to take down and kill. That's kind of the weird paradox of Fallout 4. Despite the combat system being so good right off the bat, the weapons they created to use that combat system with really weren't that good. I know a lot of people despise the assault rifle, both in the looks and in the actual functionality of it. Some of the animations for weapons, even in vanilla Fallout 4, are messed up and just simply wrong. Moving past that, I really don't like the legendary weapon system in Fallout 4. It seems like they implemented legendary weapons as a way to get away from unique weapons that were really prevalent in some of the previous Fallouts. The difference between the two, if you guys are confused, is basically unique weapons were like a named, very specific weapon, like the laser rifle that Dance does give you at the end of one of the early Brotherhood quests. There's a mod, Unique Uniques, that actually gives these a different look, which I think is really important. I don't even understand why Bethesda removed that. But legendary weapons kind of had a magical aspect to it, and the RNG aspect. I wasn't a huge fan of that. Maybe some people really like legendary weapons and they liked how a legendary enemy has a random chance of dropping that, but I feel like uniques were just a bit cooler. After accomplishing a really big quest or defeating a super strong enemy, you'd get this very special and hopefully different looking weapon or armor that simply had better stats than everything else because of the special effect it did have. Again, I could see how this one, more so than pretty much any other one, would be kind of polarizing and you either really agree with it or really disagree with it, but I don't know, I personally think it would be cool to have that aspect back in the game, and I feel like trying to find or locate a unique weapon rather than just hoping you get a really OP explosive shotgun off a legendary enemy was a bit better. And then finally, maybe this one's just going to be more opinionated, but I really miss weapon degradation and I guess armor degradation too. I think one way Bethesda could really implement this back into the game after removing it is making it a survival or hardcore only option. If you guys don't know or never played Fallout New Vegas or Fallout 3, there was a system where after firing your weapon so many times, the condition of it would decrease. There's things like jams and other bad things that would happen to your gun as a result, and eventually it would simply break and you wouldn't be able to use it anymore. Basically, you could scrap another of the same weapon and use the parts to improve the condition of the one you want to keep. I just felt like it added in a whole nother dynamic into the game and something that would really fit into survival in Fallout 4. And it kind of give you a reason for looting even simple weapons off of enemies because it would help you to repair your existing ones. There really hasn't been too many mods that implement this back into the game. I know there's one that attempted it, but I don't think it's really executed all that well and not many people use it. But speaking about weapons, I feel like one of the things Fallout 4 changed and changed really well is the crafting system. I love the ability to totally overhaul and modify weapons and basically change them into two totally different things. You could have like a sniper DMR style thing to even an SMG with some weapons, and then opening that up with mods so people can create totally custom weapons that you could download to your game and then have even further customization to those weapon mods, I think made Fallout 4 a great game, and that's why weapon mods are so popular. The armor system definitely isn't as expansive or customizable, but I still think it's a nice addition to the game. I know a lot of people really like it, but I think the weapon mods are really where it shines, although there are definitely some faults here. Some weapons just lack weapon mods that should be there, things that don't really make a whole ton of sense to be absent from the game or even included on other mods, but this is mostly remedied by some of the downloadable content. But building off this, I feel like another thing a lot of people really miss is skills. They were a huge part of some of the previous Fallouts. The special perk tree that was changed in Fallout 4 is pretty popular, but not everyone loves it. A lot of people don't like it. I know Fallout Cascadia is actually bringing a lot of these changes to the table, and one of the most notable ones being that new skill tree. A lot of people are really excited for that, and I think it's going to be a great new addition or re-addition to Fallout 4, making the game just feel a lot different. And going along with skills, I think the reputation system is something a lot of people miss. That is the ability to have a certain reputation with different factions in the game, and then certain decisions would influence that reputation with them and then give you different perks or downsides if you were hated or vilified by them. It's very similar to how it works with companions in Fallout 4, except it was on a faction level. I think it'd be pretty cool if after maybe doing a quest or two for Diamond City or helping out the city in some way, maybe some of these shopkeepers gave you bigger discounts or the guards helped you out sometimes. But at the same time, maybe if you robbed one too many people, they would charge you more and kind of make comments at you as you walk in. That's one of those ones that I don't really know why isn't in Fallout 4. I think it would have fit in really naturally, especially the way the game is set up. It's almost making you choose between the Railroad, Institute, Minutemen, and Brotherhood of Steel to have one of them side with you and have a big ending. It is much more divided than some of the previous Fallouts where you could kind of side with two factions at once. And to actually build off that further, I feel like Fallout 4 really lacks the ability to have different ways to finish quests. This isn't across the board, but it's more of a just general theme with the game when compared to other games in the series. Doing a quest in Fallout 4, it feels like you really only have one choice, or maybe there are a few choices, but the result will pretty much always be the same. It was very rare playing through the game that you felt like, oh, making this decision really impacted the game and left me with a big result that otherwise would have been really different, like Megaton or Tenpenny Tower in Fallout 3. That was a major decision that you pretty much had to live with for the rest of the game. Obviously, yes, at the end of Fallout 4, you could have some decisions like this, but throughout the game, I feel like it really wasn't there. And I feel like that's what made some of the older Fallouts feel so special. Your decisions really meant something, and you could have big regrets in the game. And then one of the final things that I think Fallout 4 did really well was the settlement system, or at least in concept, it's really cool. I feel like in execution, it definitely could use work. I would be very disappointed if they excluded it from future Fallouts, but at the same time, if they just recreated the system we have in Fallout 4, I would be pretty disappointed. I think it just needs a bit more depth, and it doesn't have to be necessary. There needs to be more player homes and things like that throughout the map, and settlement system being more of a if you want to do it type deal. Maybe implementing something like sim settlements. I think that's a great way to modify and overhaul the settlement system, and there's a mod that does it. At the end of the day, I think the thing to take away from all of this is Bethesda needs a larger team. The development team for Fallout 4 is made up of about 100 people, when compared to even other RPGs like The Witcher 3 that had 300 people behind it. A lot of aspects of Fallout 4 just didn't feel finished or like they put enough time into them. What it honestly feels like, and the perception I think a lot of people have, is Bethesda released Fallout 4 on all the systems with the idea that modding would fix a lot of the issues they left in the game. It would add in a whole new level of content and almost complete the game that they couldn't. Now, who's at fault for this, whether it be Bethesda the game studio or maybe it's Bethesda the publisher? I think it's definitely something that should be remedied in future Fallouts. Fallout 4 sold well, which makes me think it won't be, but many people don't regard it as a good game, especially when it holds up to something like Fallout New Vegas or Fallout 3, because it really doesn't hold up. That's pretty much gonna wrap it up for this video. I'm sure it'll be at least slightly controversial. Some of you guys will really disagree with some of the stuff I said, but let me know in the comments down below. I like when these videos kind of spur a discussion, and I definitely will be reading through things and responding to all you guys. As always, again, and thank you for watching. I do hope you enjoyed, and I hope to see you all next time. Later.